The best portable YouTuber camera has finally happened. About dang time. The Sony ZV-1. Well, it's not exactly perfect, but let's talk. Hi, I'm Dave Mays, and this is Kino News. Today is the day that Sony announced its newest addition to its lineup with the compact point-and-shoot ZV-1, designed specifically for vloggers and content creators. When you hear the specs of this thing, it's like Sony sat down with a bunch of YouTubers and wrote down a list of all the things they wanted and just made that camera. Where would Sony have had a group of YouTubers all at one time? Interesting. The ZV-1 is a 1-inch sensored camera with a built-in 24-70 f1.8 lens, capable of 4K resolution up to 30 frames, that has a Vari-Angle screen and a mic jack for external microphones that's under $1,000, shipping June 12th. Wow. Just wow. If you already know you want one, I've provided an affiliate link down below that will take you to where you can buy the camera now. So let's talk about this new ZV-1 camera. The ZV-1 features the same 1-inch 20.1 megapixel sensor that you've seen in the RX100V cameras, as well as this one here, the RX0 Mark II. This sensor is capable of shooting 4K only up to 30 frames per second, but you can do some crazy slow motion frame rates. I'm not completely sure on all the frame rates here, so comment below with those specs. The ZV-1 has super fast autofocus using 315 autofocus points, covering 65% of the image, which may sound familiar again if you're a Sony fan, because again, it is the same from the RX100 line. After years and years of constant requests for a proper Vari-Angle screen, we finally have it. They put a 3-inch 1.3 million dot side flipping screen on it, and it's a first for a camera like this from Sony. The previous screens on the RX100 had a flip up mechanism that vloggers often complained about. Having a screen that flips to the side rather than the top is essential for vloggers due to its ability to keep the hot shoe area open for microphones, lights, and whatever else you want to put up there. We have been requesting this for years. What took so long? Fuji is doing it too now. Are camera companies actually listening to us now? Well, these are very strange times. For in-camera audio, we now have a new built-in directional 3-capsule microphone on the top that utilizes tech from Sony's video camera systems to deliver decent quality sound and noise reduction in full stereo. In addition, a dead cat is supplied with the ZV-1, making it the perfect pocket camera on the go. My friend Sarah Dici literally built her channel using a similar setup on the old RX100, back when you had to stick a little furry ball on top there yourself and use the built-in mic. It was awful because it was really your only option, because there was no mic jack. The built-in mic on the ZV-1 is nice, but the other feature everyone has been begging Sony for is a proper 3.5mm jack. And guess what? They did it. This camera actually has a built-in mic jack. Celebration, yeah. That means that with the combo of the Vari-Angle screen using the hot shoe and mic jack, you can actually use a wireless lav like the Rode Wireless Go or the Video Micro and not need a weird contraption. It's totally an all-in-one package. Anyways, the lens is also good. It's the same one that you've seen on the RX100 VA, the f1.8 one. It's the 24-70 f1.8 to 2.8 lens. And if you want to shoot wide open at f1.8, you have to zoom all the way out to 24mm. As soon as you zoom in, your aperture starts to change, and it goes all the way down to f2.8. You can still get decent bokeh with this lens, but if it isn't enough for you, there is a new bokeh switch that's kind of like what you've seen with mobile phones using the portrait mode effect, except now with the real camera instead of an iPhone. Let's talk about autofocus. This thing has real-time eye autofocus, similar to all other Sony cameras. It locks on the face and tracks like magic. If you've never used a Sony system, you should really try it. The autofocus is insane. It's using AI-based subject recognition tech to detect eye information in real time while shooting video. A new feature that seriously blows my mind, and I can't believe this actually exists, is a, get this, product showcase setting that enables the focus to shift from your face to a product or object being held up to the lens without ever having to hide your face like this. That's normally how you have to do the autofocus system with phase detect, Canon dual pixel autofocus. If I want this product to be in focus when I move it in front of myself, I need to basically disable the face tracking mode of that camera by putting this in front of my face. Now this has a feature designed specifically for product reviewers, and that is unheard of. I've never even heard of that feature ever. Really, really cool. This is designed specifically for YouTubers. This is the type of thing that I've been saying for years to camera companies. Make cameras YouTubers like, because then they promote the crap out of it for you for free and you get all this brand recognition. I don't know why they haven't done this earlier. Anyways, there's now this soft skin effect that can help reduce wrinkles and marks while keeping proper skin tones. Sony is saying they're putting a lot of priority on skin tones with this camera. Sony's kind of known for having bad skin tones. I wish all Sony cameras had a priority on skin tones. I don't know why it's taken this long. I haven't tried the skin smoothing effect. I don't have the camera, obviously, so I don't know if it's going to be any good. My guess is it's going to probably look like crap. There are some changes to the body compared to the standard RX 100. This camera has a better grip on the side for comfortable holding and a nice bright red record light on the front, making sure you're aware that the camera is rolling when you start shooting. Often on the older Sony camera screens, it was hard to see if you're rolling. Now with the tally light up front, when you film yourself or talent in front, you always know when you're rolling. Obviously, another huge body change again is the new Vari-Angle Screen, which is a welcome addition not just for selfie shooting, but for protecting the screen when it's not in use. Now you can throw this in your pocket and not worry about the screen getting all scratched up when you're done using it. There's also a really nice juicy record button on the top. I really dig that, along with a proper hot shoe, again, thanks to the Vari-Angle display. This camera is not perfect though. The sensor is known for having really bad rolling shutter performance, and I don't see this camera really changing that. However, I don't have the camera and I need to test it out myself before I can say that for sure. Also, it seems that Sony had to remove the EVF that was on the RX 100 series to make room for the new screen. Not a huge deal for vloggers, but it's worth noting if you like shooting with an EVF. Also, this camera has no IBIS or in-body image stabilization. IBIS would be great here, however, we do get some digital stabilization and the lens has IS as well. Still, a stabilized sensor would be nice. However, you can throw this really easily on a small gimbal. Battery life is usually pretty poor on these cameras as well, and to make matters worse, Sony chose to put a micro USB port on the side of the camera instead of a USB-C. It does charge over the camera nicely over USB, but really, seriously, it proves to me that the guts of this camera really are from the RX 100 series, which has not changed at all for several years. They probably didn't want to re-engineer a lot of the hardware inside the guts of this thing to keep the price low. Which, while we're on the topic of recycling RX 100 parts, the lens. It's not wide enough for vloggers in my opinion. Now there are plenty of people out there who have made the RX 100 work in the past, but a little extra reach would have been nice because the vlogger's head at 24mm is too big on the screen in my opinion. A wider lens would have been amazing. For example, a 20 to 55 equivalent lens would have made this camera even more appealing to vloggers and streamers who sit rather close to their computer screens. Again, I'm sure this was a cost-saving measure because all Sony had to do was recycle the old RX 100 parts, and it makes sense given the price point. Another thing, it still doesn't seem to have filter threads on it either, again, just like the RX 100 series. This is a huge bummer, and other companies who have made point and shoots have managed to do this in the past. I'm gonna want to use this for pro video, and even if this camera has a built-in ND, I want to have the ability to put my own neutral density filter or polarizer on the camera, and I really can't do it without a weird stick-on solution. I'm not sure about 4K record times, and we'll have to test this when I get one. It does seem that Sony has figured out how to handle the heat management with their newer cameras. Some of the latest RX 100 cameras and the APS-C cameras can record endlessly, so hopefully this one will do the same. Also, not sure about 10-bit recording using an Atomos Ninja V. I would love to have the ability to shoot 10-bit as it's a superior codec for video usage, and the RX-02 has the ability to do it, so it'd be really great to have 10-bit on this camera. Be careful what you listen to. If you're not a content creator or a YouTuber, this camera may not be for you. A photographer is still better off using the RX 100 series in my opinion. Also, take all this hype with a grain of salt. All the features that this camera has are features that YouTubers have been begging companies to make and nobody has listened, and finally Sony has. So be ready to see this camera all over YouTube, hearing how amazing it is, but realize that other cameras like the Blackmagic Pocket 4K, EOS R, A7 III for example, may be better options still for most pro shooters out there. Don't sell something you use just to have this thing, and don't buy this just as a B camera to your A7 for example. An RX 100 VA will give you the same image quality for a cheaper price point. But if you are someone who films himself a lot either for YouTube, live streams, or other content creator stuff, this really may be the perfect camera for you. And again, the price is going to be around $900 depending on where you live and where you buy this from, and it'll ship on June 12th. I will be pre-ordering this one today, and if you want to help out the channel and pre-order one, links will be in the description below. Sony has worked with me in the past, but they didn't send me a camera this time around. I've grown tired of the oversaturation we give camera companies when they send us stuff and set an embargo date, and I hope all you viewers can help figure out a way to support the creators you love without encouraging this rat race mentality. I don't really see it changing for a while, but there has to be a better way to do this. Everyone who posted a video today who has a hands-on with the ZV-1 is doing heavy lifting for Sony, giving better promotion than Sony ever could buy. And they get tons of views on the videos, and it helps grow the creator's channel, so I guess it's a win-win. But still, it's a weird game to play, and I've been a part of it now for the last 2 years. I just want to point out how strange all this is and hear what it's like on my side over here as a creator. I am by no means putting down my colleagues who got hands-on with the ZV-1. I would actually be there with them, honestly, if Sony had sent me one. I've just been doing a little bit more thinking than normal due to this pandemic, and I really hope that we can find a happy medium when it comes to product releases and YouTubers rushing to get videos out, as I sit here and rush a video out. If you watch to the end of this video, please subscribe. It means you're a fan and you didn't even realize it. Let me know your thoughts on the ZV-1 in the comment section below. And again, Sony did not work with me in any way on this video. These thoughts were purely my own and gathered from rumor sites before this camera was released. If some of the specs weren't perfectly accurate, that's why. Once again, I'm Dave Mays. This is Kinotika in my garage. We'll see you next time.